Posting. To the different places. Go there. And that is all set. Yes, I know my mic is live while I'm still setting things up. Excuse me. And let's go. Hey, good morning. It's Friday, July 19th, and I am Rob. I am that developer dad, and I have a confession to make. I've been slinging code for different companies for well over 20 years at this point, and I have paid little to no attention to data structures and algorithms. I've had the great fortune of always being able to work in Microsoft frameworks, especially the .NET framework, and all the sorts and searches and this and that and the other thing have always been wrapped up in the .NET framework, especially in their collections namespaces. And my attitude's always been, am I smarter than the people at Microsoft? I might be smarter than one or two of them, but I am not smarter than the armies of developers, many of whom have years of experience and formal education and all that stuff. Me as a self-taught developer, I am not smarter than them. So I'll just stand on their shoulders and build cool stuff using the Legos that they've already given me. But then I remembered, every time I learn some new detail of how something actually works, I get better at using it. So I do have an intention to start casually learning some algorithms and some data structures, and maybe I'll do that study in Python so that I can kind of solve a couple of problems at the same time by learning Python and learning how some of these algorithms I keep hearing about actually work. And that ought to give me a little bit of insight as to how these structures I use in the .NET framework actually work under the hood. So even though I'll probably never write a sort algorithm from scratch and have it in production code, I do concede the point that understanding how it works at a lower level is going to be valuable to me. So I'm going to be starting that journey probably over the weekend. I'm not going to do it live, I don't think, unless I'm inspired to say, hey, okay, so this algorithm, I should maybe do a 30-minute thing on it or whatever. We'll see. But that is not relevant to what we're building in these streams. I just wanted to clear the air and get that off of my chest, that I do have an intention to start learning about algorithms. I suspect that as I go through them, a lot of the concepts are going to set off light bulbs and go, oh, okay, I've been doing that for years. I just didn't know it had a name, kind of thing. So it's always good to kind of formalize some of my experience. Let's get back into generating NPCs. Now, yesterday, we separated the random attribute picking from the AI generation and introduced a choice in our console app that shows the randomly chosen attributes and then says, hey, do you want me to send this off to an AI to have it described? And that was great. And one of the things I've wanted to build into this thing right from the start is the ability to let whoever's using this provide the seeds Like perhaps my players, their characters are going to a blacksmith shop. So I know they're going to be visiting a blacksmith. And I think this guy, he's probably not going to be a dwarf because that's pretty stereotypical. What if the master blacksmith that they're about to interact with is a gnome or a half orc or what have you? I want to be able to specify some details for an NPC up front. Have the random generator fill in the blanks, and then if that looks good, let's send it to the AI to get a write-up. So today, it's probably going to take this morning and afternoon to get everything working the way I want it to and have it modular and so on. But what I want to focus on in today's stream, both morning and afternoon, is getting that let me pick stuff going. And then once that's going, we're going to go back to adding more options to our rule sets. Or more types of options to our rule sets. I should be clear about that language. So let's share my programming screen. Here we go. All right, and we've got our Townsfolk Manager. We're able to get NPC options. Out here in character workloads, we've defined a contract method to get NPC options. I believe we've implemented it. Yep. So out here, and then out in the program yesterday, we set up a Boolean value because if we don't have any NPC options, there's no sense asking the user if they want to pick any. And select NPC, do you want to pick any of the NPC attributes? Let's hide the Solution Explorer off to the left there. And we see here, if prompt to select NPC options is true, string user selects equals prompt user. So if we have options to pick from, ask if the user wants to do it. If they say yes, then we go into here. If they say no, we're just going to generate normally like we do. And if there are no options to choose from, we're going to generate normally. And that looks pretty okay. I feel like it's a little silly like this, but let's get some options picked. We've already got a dictionary set up, which is just a collection of key value pairs. Now we need to set up a function out in our user interface, which is this console app, to prompt the user for each list of options in the dictionary. I feel like we should populate this dictionary from the kinds of options we have. So let's at least create the keys for whichever options we've got here. For each var entry in NPC options. What's that variable called? Yes, NPC options. NPC options. Let's say selected options equals, no, selection options dot add. And then we need to add a key and a value. So we're going to say entry dot key and null. Excuse me. And let's save. Now, right now, we don't have any NPC options. That's not happening. So none of this code is going to execute. I think before we go down this path, we should probably set that up. So let's go into our Townsfolk Manager, which is where we're going to obtain those options. And we've already got it stubbed out to return an empty dictionary. And we are going to say NPC options dot add name of townsperson dot species as the key, and NPC rules dot species dot list. And that's a method. There we go. NPC options dot add. You know what? Let's not add them all yet. Let's just add species as our list of choices. Let's not bite off more than we want to chew. So NPC options dot add, we're getting that. Good. I want to come out to the program, and I'm going to drop a breakpoint right here and run the application. Okay, let's get the NPC options. Great. We have species with the 8 different species that we can select from. Good. And we've got, so we're setting up our prompt. Our NPC JSON is empty. Prompt to select is true. So we have to prompt the user. Do you want to pick any of the NPC attributes? For this case, I'm going to say yes, just because I want to enter this conditional area. Our selected options is a new dictionary, and we're going to initialize this with that variable. Now, I want to take a look at selected options and see what's in there. Right now, we've just got species and null. Great. So now we need to, that's as far as we're going to get here. We need to figure out we need to figure out how to prompt the user to choose from that list of options. So our prompt user, oh, no, that's not that. And this method is getting long. It's getting really long and a little messy. We're going to need to do some tidy up on this at some point. So else NPC JSON equals app, NPC JSON equals app. You know what? I can eliminate both of these, and I'm going to do it right now because it'll tidy things up nicely. If NPC JSON is null, and no, I don't want to use null. I want to use if string, not string handle. string dot is null or white space. NPC JSON. NPC JSON equals app dot generate NPC go. And now I can get rid of this else. And I can probably get rid of this else because we're trapping for NPC JSON not having been created yet by doing it now, but only if it's null. So I just want to visually trace through this code. So NPC JSON equals string.empty. We do the thing where we pick the options, maybe. And if string is null or white space, we're going to generate now, and then we're going to enter the rest of the stuff. Okay. So how do we want to do this? I think the nicest way to do this would be, let me load up Notepad because I want to kind of spell out what I want it to look like. And let's bump this up to a 16-point font so that it shows up clearly. Choose the species. I'll be 9 of 12 posted in the chat. Do I need to test now that I took stuff out? I'll be testing once I get the species selection in place. And I'll test with yes, we'll pick it, and no, we won't pick it. And that'll execute that code for me at that point. Choose the species from the following list. 0, IDK, you choose. 1, dwarf. 2, elf. 3, halfling, and so on. Now, that means choose from list prompt equals choose the attribute name from the following list. I don't think I'm going to do, I don't know, you choose. I think I'm going to go pick for me, just hit enter. Yeah. Choose from prompt equals choose the attribute name from the following list. What did I do? I hit the wrong key is what I did. And then build list by assigning a 1 based index to each item in the option list. No response means random. Don't forget to subtract 1 from the entry because arrays are 0 indexed. All right, so I think that's what we want to do. I am going to grab this, copy that, and for each entry in NPC options, selected options.add. Okay. For each var entry, and I got to put that in parens, in NPC options, and no, I do not want it to do what it's wanting to do. I want to string option prompt equals now I can paste, terminate that, change that from attribute name. I don't know why it just surrounded that stuff, but excuse me, entry.key from the following list. And then we're going to for index equals not capital I index, int item index equals 0. Item index is less than, not intem item, is less than string array attribute options equals entry dot value attribute options dot length item index plus plus and then we do this string option text equals string interpolation item index plus 1 attribute options. We need to interpolate that in item index and then we'll do a pipe with a space, just to break it up a little bit. And we're going to console.write, not write line, but write option text. We need to write line option prompt, and I want to rename that variable to something a little more descriptive. Select option prompt. There we go. So we're going to write out that I want to add some vertical separation, right line, and let's just do offensive equals. Console.write line, select $, so that we can interpolate in entry dot key. Okay. So we've got our console.write. After that, we're going to console.write line or press enter to leave it random. String choice equals console dot read line, and I actually want that to be nullable. Okay, now I need to parse that choice out to an integer, but choice might be null. So int choice index equals int dot try null. Nullable int choice index equals null. And yeah, okay, it's assigned, but its value is never used. Int.try parse choice out int go away IntelliSense out int choice index. It really doesn't like that. Choice may be null here. Okay. Now convert from string to read-only span of byte. What are you complaining about? Is already defined in this scope. Okay. Parsed index. And because try parse returns a Boolean, we don't necessarily want to use parsed index because if it doesn't resolve to one of the choices, that's going to be 0. And we want null if that's the case. So if we're going to take advantage of that being a Boolean expression, parsed index. And also parsed index is greater than 0. There, I can live with that. And the next thing we have to do is -1, because we have to adjust it back when we display the choices. We're adding 1 to the index. And we're now going to assign selected options.key, selected options.key, string option name equals entry.key. That's what I want to do. We're going to replace entry.key with option name. We're going to do it again. And then only if they've selected something and it's valid are we going to, and I have to look up user selects, okay, prompt NPC select options, selected options. For the attribute option name, dir, option name equals, and then I do the entry.value dot value at the choice index. Why doesn't it like that? Oh. Parsed index is greater than 0. Choice index, if null. If it's still null, we got problems. There. So there's our selected options. Let's test this. I want to test this loop. So if prompt to select options equals true, I'm going to break right here. Excuse me. And we don't need to break here because we know we're getting our options for species back. If prompt to select NPC options equals true, have we prompted? We don't know yet. Oh yeah, I should rename that to if should prompt. User selects equals prompt user. Yes. And let's start stepping. Okay, we've got our selected options. We're just going to set up that selected options for each entry in NPC options. We've got our option name is species. Choose the option name from the following list. And I'm not going to step through every iteration on that loop. So I'm going to put the cursor out just outside the loop and say run to cursor. Great. Or press enter to leave it random. And let's do our prompt. And that's kind of ugly. Not in love with how long that line is. But the first thing I want to try is we're going to start at the first element in the array. My choice is 1 as a string. Choice index is null. My parsed index is 1. My choice index is actually 0. And my selected options collection, which is what we're eventually going to provide to the generator, is give me an elf. Great. So I'm just going to let it rip. And we didn't actually assign anything. We didn't pass anything. So I should have stepped out so that I could demonstrate testing the other stuff. But I want to run a couple more selection tests while we do this. And I'll remember to step next time we get to that part. So, no, I don't want an AI description of the character. Do I still have a breakpoint inside the working loop? I do. Good. So I'll just hit enter. We're back at our breakpoint. We don't need to pause here anymore, but I do want to pause on this line, 84. Because I do want to step through this stuff when I pick the last item in the list. So let's just continue. And yes, I do. So let's choose half work this time. And we're paused again. Come back up here. And we know our triparse works fine. Our choice index, our selected options. Let's just hover over this and make sure species is half work, which is what we've selected. Perfect. Now, we don't have any more options to select from. NPC JSON is an empty string. So we're just going to generate it like we always have. And there's one more thing I want to check. And as you can see, we picked half orc, but we got an elf, and that's because we're not doing anything with these selections yet. Do you want an AI description of this character? No. Let's make another. Yes, I want to pick. And I want to leave it random this time. And I want to make sure I'm handling this case properly because it's sort of an odd one out. So choice is an empty string. We cannot parse choice, so it skips over that logic. Our selected options for species is still null, which is exactly what I want. And of course, we step out NPC JSON. Well, we didn't do anything with this stuff yet, so we can continue. Nah. And we are going to stop. Great. Good, good, good. So all of this stuff, we can get rid of it. Goodbye. So what do we do with these options now that we've got them picked? We've added an option for that list, and this is for each list. For each attribute that we have a list of options for, do this thing. God, that's messy. So we've got attribute options here. I want to change option name. I want to change the name of that again to attribute name. So we're a little bit more consistent. I'm also going to bring this line up so that we're doing all of our key value pair property reading in one place. This generates a list of the options. Generates a numbered list of each option list that shows each option. And then we prompt. And then we resolve what the prompt did, and we move on to the next thing. So what do we do now that we have our selected options? Well, we need to generate our NPC using those selected options. NPC JSON equals app dot generate NPC with selected options. And it really doesn't like that because the only thing generate NPC is expecting right now is a Boolean. And it can't convert from a dictionary to a Boolean value. So into the character workloads we go. And we've got string generate NPC, bool include AI equals false. We need a different one. String generate NPC that accepts a dictionary of string and nullable string selected attributes. And we're going to go ahead and include bool include AI equals false again. And there's no such thing as a dictionart. It's a dictionary. We're going to make that nullable. We're going to give it a default value of null. No, we're not going to do that. Save. Now I have to come out to character workloads. We no longer have a fully implemented interface. So go ahead and implement that for me. Get NPC options, describe NPC, generate NPC. It's stuck the new interface down here. I'm going to cut that because I want it here. There we go. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do with that keystroke combination. That's what I wanted to do. I'm going to have to repeat this code. Yuck. What does describe NPC do? It just does that stuff. You know what? I think I am going to get rid of this parameter that lets me optionally pass it out to the AI here. I think when we generate an NPC with these selected attributes, that's all it's going to do. So we're going to come out here to character workloads and delete that parameter. Excuse me. Save. And I think including it here is dumb upon reflection of what I was trying to accomplish before, because by having it optionally do that stuff, we're violating the single responsibility principle. So let's get rid of this string result declaration. We don't want that anymore because we're not going to be building up a complicated thing. We're just going to return the NPC JSON. Now we can save that. Generate NPC doesn't return a thing. So here we'll go string NPC JSON equals string dot empty. Boop. Var NPC equals NPC Manager dot generate townsperson from options. Because this is going to have distinctly different behavior than the general generate townsperson. NPC JSON equals, we're going to serialize the NPC that comes back, and we're going to return NPC JSON. So we don't have a method called generate townsperson from options. That's fine. Let's save all of our stuff here. We got to go into Townsfolk Manager. I need to copy that method name. Townsperson. Paste that method name. And then I need that type from my character workloads. So I'm going to copy that, paste it in here. And there we've just added to the contract. Townsfolk Manager. We need a public townsperson. And I'm just going to grab this, copy that, paste that here, get some wiggly braces, and some of what we're doing is pretty similar. We still need to do this, and we need to do this, sort of. Matter of fact, I'm just going to copy this whole method because it's similar to what we're doing. Let's paste. So background choices, we're not handling that yet. But for species choices, blah, 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 what we want to do is if selected attributes name of townsperson dot species is not equal to null, else we're going to do it like we always do. And NPC dot species equals that. And because we've already validated that this value is not null, we can use the null forgiving operator there. I don't like using that very often, but it's okay if we're just doing something with this might be null that we've just validated is absolutely not null. So there's that. And of course, we haven't handled our profession or vocation rather, or background yet. But to tidy all of this stuff up, I'm going to eliminate that. And I'm going to eliminate this. And I'm going to eliminate all this stuff too. Let's get rid of all of those blank lines because they're just messing things up for us, making it harder to read. And let's see in the last couple of minutes of this morning's session if this is actually going to work for us. Let's come back out to program and make sure I'm actually invoking it. Yes, I am. Good. Let's kill off all of our breakpoints. Yep. Goodbye. We'll drop a brand new one here because we know that we can select from our lists. And we've got things collapsed up nicely here. All right, good. Let's run it, see what we get. We have fooled around, and now we are going to find out. Let's generate a Dragonborn. Here's where we step in. So we don't have any NPC JSON. We're going to generate the townsperson from our options. We do, in fact, have our options. So let's step in. What's our species? He's a Dragonborn. The other two are going to get, selected randomly. We've got a Dragonborn cartographer who used to be a charlatan. We've only got a couple of minutes left. Let's spend them generating the AI description. Now, I do like to monitor what's going on, and yep, it's chewing up tokens, it's generating, it's crunching. Nom, 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 nom. The token monster is spewing them out at us. And while this works, I want to talk about what I want to do this afternoon. Between now and 1 o'clock, like while I'm offline, I'm going to bring in the background and the vocation option lists that that we already have working. And I'm going to test those, make sure they're working okay. But I already recognize that we're going to have some repeated code and we're kind of brute forcing our way through assigning the attributes that we've selected or not. So I want to clean that up and make it a little bit more elegant. And that's what we're going to focus on this afternoon. And I think we've got ourselves a perfectly good Dragonborn cartographer whose background is that of a charlatan. So who knew that Dragonborn came from Charlotte. But yeah, here we go. And they possess scales that gleam like moonlit silver. Okay, so we haven't selected like the subspecies or we haven't set up subspecies selection yet. But yeah, I like all this. Just for laughs, I'm gonna copy this out. Hey, pseudo hacks, how do you do? I'm gonna copy that out, and just for laughs, let's pop into Copilot. Where are you? Here you are. Please generate an image from this description of a character. Bam! I've been doing good, Pseudo. I've been making some serious progress on this application. This week, I actually added AI capability to the NPC generator. So it's randomly selecting the species, their background, and their current profession. And it creates a little JSON object of those. Now, that doesn't look like a dragonborn to me. That's an elf. That's not a dragonborn. That's a cute little elf girly. Try again, please. So oh yeah, the CrowdStrike fiasco is spectacular. And apparently there's some issues with Microsoft Azure in some of the global regions that have knocked a couple of airlines offline. Like major international airports are non-operational right now too. So I feel bad about or I feel bad for my friends who work at Microsoft. Yeah, it can't seem to generate a Dragonborn for me. Copilot's having some issues, but that's okay. We'll get it. We'll get it sorted. I might have to do some prompt engineering and stuff, and I'm just copying and pasting the output. Oh, no joke. I think a lot of people are going to have a very, very bad weekend. Like both at CrowdStrike, Microsoft's pretty good about fixing Azure outages in short order, but the CrowdStrike problem that's impacting IT departments around the world, and all of the people that work at those companies are going to have a really crappy weekend. All right. And unfortunately, it came in at the last second here, Pseudo, but I'll be streaming again at 1 o'clock Eastern time. That's like 2 hours from now. Yeah, sysadmins are going into safe mode, deleting the latest patch file and rebooting, and that seems to fix it. But yeah, I'll be back in a couple hours. I want to make this make the actual code a little bit more elegant up in here, a little less hard coded, and we'll carry on at 1. So until then, take care and happy coding. Later, gang.